This week on NBA G League Takeover, two studs from the Salt Lake City Stars continue to shine. We're highlighting Isaiah Wong and Oscar Tshiebwe. Plus, NBA veteran and G League assistant coach Jason Thompson sits down for an exclusive interview. And finally, we're breaking down the tape. Two G League alums who are crushing it in the association. All that and more coming up right now on NBA G League Takeover.
Big win on top. On top.
Welcome to NBA G League Takeover. I'm Mike Davis. If you love basketball and the NBA, well, then you're in the right place. This is the show that explores all the news you need to know about the NBA G League and beyond. Crazy thing is, we're only 2 weeks into the season, and we have so much to break down. So let's bring in G League insider Gianna Hearn and NBA veteran CJ Watson. Good to see you guys. So first things first, the Salt Lake City Stars, they're on a hot streak, okay? After starting off the season 0-3, Salt Lake has won 4 games in a row, all at home. And the last game of the homestand sweep was a dominant display with a 33-point victory over the Santa Cruz Warriors. So guard Isaiah Wong led the team with 31 points, shooting 4 for 5 from behind the arc. The former stud from the Miami Hurricanes is averaging just over 26 points per game this season, and he's officially the G League's Player of the Week. So, Gianna, how deserving is Wong of this weekly award?
I mean, obviously, you just talked about some of his stats. His last game, he had 31 points. He's shooting 73% from the field. He's scoring at a high level. Now, if he can prove, because it was a small sample size, only 7 games, if he can prove he can do that consistently, he's not going to be just a standard G League player anymore. He'll return to being either a two-way player or get that standard contract. He'll definitely, I'm hoping, get a call up when it comes January and we see much more of those.
Yeah, getting the 4 for 5 from behind the arc, that's going to be big time for that young gun. Now, the other player showing up big time for the Salt Lake City Stars team is Oscar Tshiebwe. Oscar is leading the G League in rebounding right now. Get this, everybody. He's averaging 16.9 boards per game. Pair that with 16.1 points per game, and he's doing a little bit of everything for that squad. The former West Virginia Mountaineer and Kentucky Wildcat is reminding everyone why he's the NBA G League's reigning Rookie of the Year. And mind you, last season, Tshiebwe set a new G League single-season rebounding record, averaging 16.2 boards per game. So CJ, Oscar Tshiebwe is playing the 4-5, but only standing at 6'8". He's kind of reminding me of a Barkley or a Rodman, rebounding at an impressive rate that's really interesting for his size. I mean, how does an undersized forward center become so dominant on the boards?
Yeah, he's a little undersized, but he plays so physical. I think that makes up for his being so short. But I think to me, he's a walking double-double. Like I said, he plays physical and he makes everything look easy, especially when he's setting picks out there. He gets his teammates open or himself, so it's always a good thing when he's on your team.
So let me ask you this. I mean, 16.9 boards per game is a lot different than just getting like 12 boards a game, which is still pretty good. So what do you think he's doing from a technique standpoint to just get those boards? I know Charles Barkley always said there's something about angles and kind of, anticipating where the ball is going to go off the rim or the backboard. So what do you think from a technique standpoint?
Yeah, for sure. All those things come into play. I think for a guy like him, he just finds the ball. Players like Rodman, like Barkley, like you mentioned, they also always used to just find the ball and, like you said, angles. The ball bounces on a certain part of the angle. It's probably going to go on the other side. So he's figuring all those little things out and making the most of it.
Okay, Tshiebwe just has a knack for getting the rebounds. And interestingly enough, Wong and Tshiebwe are two guys who entered the G League last year as members of the Indiana Mad Ants. Now, sitting at 2-5 in the Central Division, the Mad Ants are definitely missing that former tandem, but Jahlil Okafor has been a bright spot, averaging just over 18 points a game for that team. And the former big man from Duke has helped his coach make history the other night. Mad Ants head coach, you see right there, Tom Hankins, marked a milestone, recording his 100th career win. Hankins is the second Mad Ants coach to reach 100 wins, getting that century mark. So, Gianna, what did hitting that century mark mean for Coach Hankins and this Mad Ants team?
You know, if you were able to see the celebration after this milestone in the locker room, his team would shower him with water all over. He was shaking it off, but he really said, thank you guys. This is a team win. they talked about in the locker room how they don't really go over individual awards often, but this is an individual award that was a team award. And so he's a guy that is really grateful, and he's only been there since 2000, taking over the helm, like you mentioned, second hitting this specific milestone. So we'll see what he can do the rest of his tenure there, but he's definitely one of the storied coaches in the G League hitting that century mark.
CJ, let me ask you this. For a guy, for teams to really revel and relish in how much they love their coach and to celebrate him after a milestone like that, how telling is that for how tight-knit a squad can be when the players are actually championing the coach?
It's very telling. I think your players always take on the identity of your coach, and just like you, Gianna said, they were showering him with water and very happy for him. I think that's just a testament of what he's been preaching in that locker room, and also with Indiana. That's a team, that's an organization that's very. They don't really celebrate a lot of things, but when you do something well, they do it pretty well.
All right, there you go. After the break, we're going to be moving on to a guy from my neck of the woods. Yes, the South Jersey native and the man who put Rider University on the map. Our insider, Gianna Hearn, interviews Sioux Falls Skyforce assistant coach Jason Thompson next.
Big win on top.
All right, welcome back to NBA G League Takeover in good company, hanging out here with our G League insider, Gianna Hearn. G had the honor of speaking with Jason Thompson, a former top 12 NBA draft pick. Thompson spent some time in the NBA and overseas, and now he's an assistant coach with the Skyforce. Let's take a look at this exclusive conversation with Gianna.
Obviously, becoming an NBA player had to have been a dream of yours. So then you realize that dream. Now, while you're playing, are you thinking about your next step? And when it's getting closer to retirement, are you thinking, hey, I definitely want to be a coach? Or how did that come about in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think later on, I started hitting the injury bug a little bit. I was blessed to be able to stay healthy, throughout my career. And, I was just looking at different things, making investments and seeing if I wanted to be an active, after retirement or, still try to find ways to still be around the game. Um, and, I had done my camps overall. Like I had my camps that started out in Sacramento in 2008 and, just teaching, I'm one thing I always wanted to have a focal point was always being there. So I just didn't have my camp and giving back to the kids, but I would be there every day, be there active, teaching guys certain drills, even if it was the counselors as well, because I'm teaching them. Most of them were coming, pros or college guys or high school guys, but, they're teaching the young kids. So I just think that, I was always teaching at some point. I didn't know what level I wanted to do. But I think, for the most part, having that college experience was good. I was able to get my master's in sports management as well. So kind of killing two birds with one stone. And then I've joined the NBA coaching developmental program, which taught me a lot. And that's when I knew I kind of wanted to see how it was at the pro level and kind of, welcome myself back to that. So once I passed that, then I started getting some interviews and then the Skyforce hired me.
And so we're only, a handful or so games into the season. What's the biggest thing that you've learned about coaching that you didn't expect? Like something that caught you off guard. You're like, oh man, okay, this is what coaching's all about.
Yeah, you mean coaching in general or coaching in the G
Coaching
League?
in the G League.
Yeah, so I would think number one would be the call ups, and then how the two ways and all those things situations happen, right? We have two-way players, Josh Christopher and Kashad Johnson, and then like I said, I had one of my first scouts. We had five new players, so I was preparing for a team with certain players, and then they had five guys, five new guys. So you're doing your research on them, looking at film, looking at tapes and stuff, things of that sort. So that's definitely something that I had to get used to. And also, my first G League coaching experience, we played, the Iowa Wolves on the road. So I got to experience now, I think they changed the rule and now it's one free throw for 2 points and one
Yeah.
free throw for 3 points, which is something new. And then my first experience as well was overtime. So we went to overtime with them, and then it was target score like it is for TBT. So I pretty much got a dose of everything all in one game. And like I said, I'm just learning each and every day.
So as you're experiencing this the first time in the NBA and NBA G League ranks, uh, what do you foresee for your future? Are you going for longevity as a coach, or are you feeling things out? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I like what I'm doing. You know, perfect world, we'll see how it is, if you continue it to go at the NBA level as well. I love, one thing I love about being here is how close we are with the Heat and, with our players and making sure our players are ready forever. Need to be called up. There is no, hey, I'm not sure what they're doing. We're all on the same page and we're all communicating at the same time. So I felt like during the interview process, that was one thing that I thought was really important over the last 2 years. The Skyforce has led the G in call ups. So I thought that was real big as well too. So like I said, if it's getting back to the NBA as well, and then later down the line, maybe 10, 20 years from now, being in the front office, would be kind of a dream as well too. So just taking one day at a time, learning each and every day, and absorbing all the information like a sponge.
So you're trying to stay around the game for a long time.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm enjoying it now. But like I said, I don't ever want to have that time where, you're in the mix, you're enjoying it, and you get older and you have any regrets of leaving the game. So I'm still around the game and still youthful and still being able to play from time to time with the players as well too. So I want to keep the youth going.
What a special guy. What about those special sconces? Those were beautiful. My mom would be proud of me as an interior decorator knowing those sconces on the back wall. But he mentioned something at the great interview, by the way, G. But at the end of that interview, he said, he still plays around a little bit from time to time. So as a coach, he's one of those coaches who gets in the mix and scrimmages a bit.
Yeah, I asked him in the interview, Jason Thompson as a player is blank. Jason Thompson as a coach is blank. And he filled in Jason Thompson as a player is a double-double machine, an Iron Man. And Jason Thompson as a coach is a coach that can still play, take you one-on-one, can still get it. And so he was talking about, I said, okay, is there any film? Have you done this yet? He said, I haven't done it yet, but when I have the film, I'm sending it.
Okay, he better send that film to you so we can put that in a future show. But listen, this was a guy, he was so talented coming out of Rider University. But talking about how he wants to, aspires to be a coach, being in that pipeline, as he was mentioning with, the Heat and Pat Riley, who might be the GOAT, and Spoelstra, I mean, that's a great system to learn how to become a coach, right?
Yeah, I explained to him, I said, do you know what system you're entering in? Like, they are the gold standard for development. So when you're coming into being a G League coach, this is probably the best place to do it. And he said for him, this was the best place. I know I just said best, but this was the best place that he could land because he said coming from somewhere like the Sacramento Kings organization, he saw how they operated.
Yeah.
Then he came and he said day one of Miami, he was in preseason, he went to the Bahamas with them and he saw how involved they were, how the lights were always on in the gym, like you can always get in there. He said when he was with Sacramento, sometimes he was turning the lights on himself to get shots up.
It's a little more tumultuous when you're with the Sacramento Kings organization. Last question, though, for you, real quick. Do you think this guy has a future as not only a G League head coach, but an NBA head coach?
Yeah, I definitely think he does. And I think it's because over his tenure, he's been with so many different teams in the NBA. He's seen many different coaching styles. And I think he's taken some from each one of those coaches, the best of them. And now he's going to try to be a player's coach. He's done it on the floor, and he really understands these guys. So he's going to use the relatability factor that he can, and then he's going to use his smarts. He said, studying film this way is a little bit different. So I think the longevity piece is because he wants to stay around the game and he's going to do what he has to do to get better at being a coach.
All right, I'm rooting for him. I feel a kinship with him. My pediatrician was in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. That's where Jason's from. So people spoke about him a lot.
We got to connect you
all the time, yeah. My pediatrician didn't, really play in the G League or anything, but he was a special guy. All right. We're just getting started here on NBA G League Takeover. When we return, we're highlighting the G League alums who are shining at the next level. Now in the NBA is after the break.
Big win on top.
All right, welcome back. Mike Davis here with 10-year NBA vet CJ Watson. So it's time for Now in the NBA, a great segment where we talk about some guys, some former G League guys that are making noise in the association. So CJ, how cool is this. Scottie Pippen Jr. had a career night in the same city where his dad became an NBA legend. Pippen Jr. scored a career-high 30 points on 81% shooting and added 10 dimes against the Bulls. Now, the former South Bay Lakers guard is coming into his own with the Memphis Grizzlies, and he really looks like a totally different player. So how do you think he really elevated his game? This is a guy who was struggling a little bit with the South Bay Lakers, and now with the Grizzlies, he looks like a bona fide scorer.
Yeah, he looks like a brand new player. I mean, I was actually watching this game and just to see the nostalgia of him where his dad was a great player and then him going to that arena and having a great big game. But I think with D Rose retiring, he saw a spot where he can go in and have that backup role. And then with Ja Morant, he was injured last year, and then also this year he's still having injuries here and there, but he can go in and pick up right where they left off and not really have any slack with Ja Morant on the court.
Where do you see the similarities between him and his dad and the differences?
I think his dad was obviously more of a better defensive player. Obviously, he's 6'8", 6'9".
One of the best defensive players, yes.
But Pippen, I just think he's a great point guard. He's steady. He doesn't turn the ball over. He dictates the tempo of the game. He pushes the ball, and I think he just gets to the creases and finds shots for himself or his teammates. All
right, he's making Scottie and Larsa Pippen proud. Now, speaking of that game, let's turn the tables and discuss the Chicago Bulls and my main man, Modest Buzelis. I have a bobblehead of him on my desk. The former G League Ignite player and most recently the 11th pick of the NBA draft. He had a breakout game in that same blowout loss for the Bulls. The rookie had a career-high 14 points in 29 minutes of action, the most minutes the young gun has seen thus far in his short rookie career. Now, all his scoring came in the first half, plus he had a massive fast break slam dunk that was super sweet. So, CJ, let's talk about this. It's kind of a catch-22 for players. Kind of like you need a job to get a job. Well, to get more playing time, you need to show why you deserve more minutes, but you can't show why you deserve more minutes without getting playing time. So has Modest really proven himself as a guy who deserves to be on the floor more?
I don't think he's proven it yet, but I think he will eventually over time. I definitely think he has a lot to work on, obviously. He has so much upside, but I think he's definitely working on it. I think when he learns how to figure out the game and the speed of the NBA game, he'll be a lot better off.
Okay, so a guy like Billy Donovan, who's his head coach, he really knows how to develop players. We saw that at Florida. He's been a decent coach in the NBA as well. What do you think he wants to specifically see from Modest in his game so he gets more minutes on the floor?
Just, I think, spacing and then be able to knock down the open shot, and then also just being a defensive prowess. I think that's where he can really change the game and affect the game, in my personal opinion, on the defensive side. And when he does that, I think he'll get more playing time.
Don't you think, last thing here, don't you think even that slam that he had, the swagger that you see, his comfort level and the nature that he has at that edge, it's a good sign to see from a young player, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. You always want to see that tenacity. I think I saw that a lot last year when he was playing for the G League Ignite. So you see those bright spots for him. Like I said, when he gets out in transition, it's probably going to be a highlight.
All right, look at that highlight right there. A great slam dunk. Now to some international headlines. Team USA has improved to 3-1 in the 2025 FIBA AmeriCup qualifying games with a 108-66 win over Puerto Rico and a 97-74 win over the Bahamas. Team USA has a bunch of current and former G League players on their roster, including guys like Javonte Smart and Jamias Ramsey, who led the squad in scoring over the weekend. Meanwhile, after 6 straight road games, the Mexico City Capitanes finally had their home opener, and they came out hot in Mexico City, scoring 70 first-half points against the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. The Capitanes went on a 19-0 first-quarter run that really blew the game wide open, and they would go on to win 119-105. Michigan legend Trey Burke led all scorers with 25 points. Devon Reed had 22, and Juan Toscano Anderson went for 18. And finally, Memphis two-way player and 5'8" guard from Japan, Yuki Kawamura, is averaging 13 assists per game for the Memphis Hustle. CJ, this guy's shorter than me. In just 2 games at the G League level, Kawamura has 26 total assists with just 3 turnovers, and he's also averaging 11 points per game. He's currently up with the Memphis Grizz and is a fan favorite, and the crowd in Memphis just can't get enough of Kawamura chanting his name, urging the Grizzlies staff to sub him in. He's been an absolute playmaker. Come on, Taylor Jenkins, put this guy in. All right, after the break, G is selecting her G of the week. We got that after these words.
win. On top.
Sure, a flush dunk on a breakaway like Modest Buzelis feels pretty good. I've done that on a Fisher-Price rim once a few moons ago. But nothing feels better than dishing out an assist for a good teammate. This time for G of the Week, Gianna Hearn is highlighting the recipient of the Community Assist Award. Tell us some more, G.
Well, Kevin O'Banner, he is a guy, when you think of spreading love, that's what he does. And he said that's actually a focal point for him. Raptors 905. He came in previous to when the season happened and started doing that. But we all know the Raptors organization has the good threads, and we'll talk about that just a little bit later. But Kevin O'Banner, he got a $10,000 check to go towards his nonprofit organization. And get this, before the season started, he was already there. Before he got a paycheck, he was taking out homeless people to stores, buying them things. He's just all wrapped up and trying to help people. So no one better deserves this award than Kevin O'Banner, and a really great situation. And their home opener, they celebrated him.
I see what you did there. All wrapped up like a Raptor. I mean, that's what a Raptor should be doing. Congratulations to him. And what a great thing to be doing some good stuff in the community. So now, guys, like you alluded to, G, the Raptors organization, they've always had the best threads. I mean, we remember those good old days with Vince Carter, just the sweetest jerseys of all time. But let's talk about some of these recent G League looks, most notably the Capital City Go-Go. They repped the Go-Go board jerseys, which were very reminiscent, you see right there, of a Scrabble board. I mean, come on. It's easy to play good when you look good. What do you guys think about those threads?
Well, as someone that's been around the G for a long time, I need one because I have a jersey wall. So I need the Capital City Go-Go to send me one of those jerseys ASAP. But the Skyforce, I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty sick too.
They got some good looks there. CJ, what was the best jersey that you ever played in all time?
I would have to say for the Bulls, we had a green jersey for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, I remember
It was pretty cool.
those.
I still got it. So.
All right, you know what? We're going to do a jersey swap, you and I, CJ, and I'm going to give you my dress shirt, and I'm going to take that. Guys, for CJ Watson, Gianna Hearn, I'm Mike Davis. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time here on NBA G League Takeover.